Hello, this is Ernst, and today we're going to talk about the external and internal anatomy of the toad. The external and internal anatomy of the toad. First, we are going to tackle the external parts of the toad. The external body parts of the toad is divisible into two regions, the axial and appendicular regions. The axial region is composed of the head and trunk with almost no neck at all. The appendicular region is composed of all the forelimbs and hind limbs. Let's take a look at the axial region of the toad. Under the axial region is the head and the trunk, and under the head we can see the nostrils, two small openings near the tip of the snout, which are used for breathing. The eyes of the toad are found at the dorsolateral portion of the head. The eyes are provided with the upper eyelids and the lower eyelids, and the transparent covering which is an outgrowth of lower lid, the nictitating membrane. The nictitating membrane is used for protection and also to keep the toad's eyes moist all the time. Also present in a toad is the tympanic membrane. The tympanic membrane is a circular area behind each eye and is also called the eardrum, which is used for hearing. There is also called the brow spot, which is a tiny white spot at the mid-dorsal part of the head between the level of the eyes. However, this is only distinct in the frog and not in the toad. Now, let's take a look at the second part of the axial region, which is the trunk. The trunk is a part of the body posterior to the head, and the trunk is divided into two regions, the thoracic and abdominal regions. The thoracic region or chest region, the anterior half, in this region of the toad, we can locate the poison or parotid glands. The parotid glands secrete buphotoxins that act as neurotoxins to deter predation. And now let's take a look at the abdominal region. The abdominal region is the posterior half, and there we can find the anus and the sacral hump. The anus is where the waste of the frog exit, and the sacral hump is produced by the protrusion of the pelvic girdle. Now we are done with the axial region. Now let's go to the appendicular region, which compose of the forelimbs and the hind limbs. The forelimbs are the anterior appendages. Each limb is divided into segments which corresponds with our forelimb. The upper arm. The upper arm is the first segment which is attached to the trunk. The next thing is the wrist. The wrist can be found next to the forearm. And then the hand. The hand is distal to the wrist. And the fingers, also called digits, usually 4 in number. Now we go to the hind limbs. The hind limbs are the posterior appendages, each also divided into segments as follows. The first one is the thigh. The thigh is the first segment attached to the body. The next one is the shank, the segment immediately next to the thigh. Next one is the ankle, the segment immediately next to the shank. The foot, the part of the limb distal to the tarsus, the toes or digits, usually 5 in number, and the web. The web is mostly present in frogs and not in toads, since frogs spend most of their time in water and use webs to increase surface area for propulsion in swimming. And now we go to the internal anatomy of the toad. The first one is the esophagus. The esophagus is a narrow short tube just behind the buccal cavity. This connects the pharynx with the stomach, and it serves as the passageway of food. The next thing is the small intestine. The small intestine is the long, narrow, and coiled tube extending from the pylorus to the much dilated large intestine. This is where absorption of nutrients take place. After the small intestine is the large intestine. A large intestine is a straight, club-shaped, usually dark-colored tube continuous with the small intestine and ending at the anus or vent. The large intestine acts as the storage for feces. The anterior enlarged portion is the rectum. The rectum temporarily hoards the feces from the large intestine. Next one is the urinary bladder. The urinary bladder is the storage for urine in the toad. Around the dark red gland is the spleen. The spleen filtrates the blood and also helps fight bacteria. The next one is the liver. The liver is a digestive gland, considered as the largest gland in the body. The liver filtrates blood in the toad. At the ventral surface of the liver is the round sac, the gallbladder. The gallbladder is the storage for bile. The pancreas is a long, thin, irregular, yellowish organ suspended in the omentum connecting the stomach, duodenum, and liver. The pancreas helps in digestion and regulates blood sugar. The kidneys. The kidneys are one pair elongated organs, dark brown in color, and their function is to maintain overall fluid balance and filtration of fluids. The toad also has organs that produce gametes, or called as gonads. They have different kinds of gonads: ovaries, oviduct, and testes. Ovaries are dark organs attached to the ventral surface of the kidney. Ovaries hold the eggs of the toad. The oviduct are paired white coiled tubes lying lateral to the kidneys. The oviduct transports sperm cells to the eggs. And lastly, the heart. It is a hollow pear-shaped muscular organ which is situated in the anterior part of the body. The heart pumps blood throughout the toad's body. That's why it is important. And that's all for today. Thank you.